Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what lessons about.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to 2 lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Welcome back to Les Hangout. I'm your East Coast host, Ellie Brigida.
And I'm your West Coast host, Leigh Holmes Foster, and this is our first mini-sode. We are so excited that people are listening to the show. You guys are engaging with us. And so we decided we wanted to do something a little extra starting this year. And so on our off weeks, we are going to be having little mini-sodes that we release just to have something extra so that we can all let's hang out together. So this is our first installment of a segment that we are super excited to introduce. Should have been gay.
Should have been gay.
Oh, it was fun, it was great, but it should have been a little more gay.
And at this point, I really just want to start singing, should have been gay, you know? Should have been. I don't know. That's all I have, really. But, you know. So, Should Have Been Gay is a segment where we'll be discussing a variety of things, shows, movies, pairings, you name it, that clearly should have been gay.
And there's a lot out there.
There's a lot.
This is
There's so
endless
many.
material for us. But for our first installment, we're going to be discussing what I think, to me, this is the #1 show in history that should so obviously have been gay, and that is the classic Xena Warrior Princess. I remember watching Xena when I was younger, when it was on, when it was actually on TV. Before I was even consciously gay, aware of how very gay I am, and how much of that makes so much sense in hindsight. You look back, and I'm pretty sure, Gabrielle and Callisto were probably 90% of my baby gay awakening was
That's
watching this
understandable.
show, and I was just a little into both of them.
For our audience members who have not seen Xena, like myself, I think we should explain what the relationship is between Xena and Gabrielle.
Oh my god, the relationship between them. So Gabrielle's her sidekick. She rescues Gabrielle when she saves her village. Gabrielle sort of follows her, decides to I'm gonna go out on an adventure with you, and follows her, and then sort of just stays with her forever, becomes
Because
her
they're in
sidekick,
love.
because they're in love. Obviously, very much deep love with each other. Deep lesbian love. Obviously throughout the show that relationship changes a lot. There's conflict and drama and angst and feelings.
So it's a lesbian relationship.
It's a lesbian relationship through and through. They fight, they have babies, they
raise a baby together, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sort of.
They raise a baby, kill a baby. Who's to say, really? For anyone who hasn't watched the show, this is just don't listen to this. There's spoilers abound
Everywhere.
It's a demon baby. It's fine.
It's
demon
fine.
baby had to
That makes
die,
sense.
but then there's feelings about that. But yeah, there's definitely, I'm caring for my pregnant sidekick, and birthing her baby, and,
That's a lot.
and then taking a long bath together. Just all platonic, normal things that you do.
Completely. for me, and I am embarrassed to say this, but I've never watched Xena. So
Yet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ellie.
But to prep for this episode, I watched some YouTube videos, subtext for dummies. And they literally have subtext for dummies of Xena. 1 is marriage, 2 is looking and touching, 3 is jealousy, and 4 is subsex, which I just love. And man, just watching those, like, come on, ladies, you are in love. There were so many naked scenes, a lot of like rolling around together,
A lot of bathing together, a lot of washing each other's backs and hair, and all that platonic stuff you do with your friends.
Yeah, like putting their clothes on, like, because they couldn't have put clothes on themselves. It was hot. Not gonna lie, but
You were into it. It's fine.
I was into it.
Yeah.
No, and then for the jealousy part, there were so many times when they were with guys and the looks on Xena's face were just like,
oh yeah.
No.
So when you put up the list for subtext for dummies, and I saw jealousy, and I immediately flashed back to watching Gabrielle get married. There's a storyline where Gabrielle gets married to Perdiccas, this guy from her hometown, and like I went back and found the video of the wedding scene, and the way that they filmed that, where as soon as they pronounce Gabrielle and Perdiccas man and wife, and they immediately, the camera cuts to Xena's face as Perdiccas is saying how in love he is with Gabrielle and how happy he is, and you're just getting this, like Xena's face breaking as she watches this, and you're like, come on, I mean, that's not subtext, that's just there. Someone made that decision to point the camera there and use that take instead of filming the two people getting married. I mean, it's just stuff like that was so obvious, it was very obvious. And I think that's one of the things about Xena, especially looking back on it, but even at the time, I don't think it was much of a secret that they were supposed to be together. Everyone knew they were supposed to be together. They just couldn't be.
I mean, this was the 90s, so they couldn't overtly do the lesbian things that we wanted them to do. But as I was researching and reading up on Xena, I found out that they had a lesbian producer. Her name was Liz Friedman. And there's this article on After Ellen where she talks about how she would throw in references that because she knew she's a lesbian too. I'm sure she was rooting for Xena and Gabrielle.
Oh, yeah.
And she's trying to throw in things that don't flash huge red lights, but for anyone who's looking for the subtext, you will see it. She goes, we opened up a show with the two of them fishing naked. Did you watch that scene?
Me?
Yeah, they fished naked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've watched the show more than once through, so I've seen them all.
Yeah, but I'm like, thank you, Liz, because she was just like continuously throwing that subtext in.
Yeah. Well, and the rest of that quote is a little lesbian vampire show, and the vampire episode is heavy-handed. I remember that, and I haven't seen it in years, but yeah, I remember how gay that episode was. I mean,
we all know vampires and lesbians, they just go together.
Yes, and we'll talk about that more on an episode, I'm sure.
Of course.
When you go back, Xena was so clearly one of the most obvious things in the 90s of a show that was meant to be gay, and they knew they couldn't make them gay. And they pushed the envelope pretty hard. I mean, I remember even watching it at the time. I mean, God, I must have been in middle school maybe for a lot of these episodes. I'm trying to remember like exactly when some of this stuff aired, like which season it was in. But I remember watching The Kiss, and there's a very famous The Kiss scene in the show, which is just as a little background again for people who haven't seen it. This is gonna all spoilers to be found here. Xena has died. I mean, they both die a couple times throughout the show. Xena has died. Gabrielle, of course, is unwilling to accept this and let her go. The end result is Xena's spirit is sort of taking over. She's sort of able to take over the body of one of their male friends, Autolycus, the king of thieves. So Xena's kind of in Autolycus's body. Her spirit is there, and so, they play around with that. They have Autolycus kind of jumping around, doing the little Xena flips and the little Xena, like, she jumps around. And it's great. There's this one really classic, famous scene, especially for lesbians, where the culmination of that is this really touching, angsty moment where, you know, Xena's trying to tell Gabrielle to let her go. I'll always be here. It's okay. And they film it as the two actresses. They film it as, you know, they're now in this spirit realm where Gabrielle is talking to Xena's spirit, even though in real life she's talking to Autolycus's physical body. But they're filming it with the two actresses having this conversation. There's a great, like, Windows 95 ocean screensaver background behind them, like green screened in. It's very touching.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And just, it's, you know, it's classic 90s. And they're having this whole conversation, and then they're leaning in closer, they're leaning in for the kiss, leaning in for the kiss, leaning in for, and then it cuts immediately to Gabrielle and Autolycus kissing.
All right.
I mean, and even me at the time, like, I remember watching that and being like, so they're kissing. Like, obviously they meant to be kissing each other.
Yeah, that is blatantly obvious.
Right. And then the next thing that happens is Gabrielle yells at Autolycus to get his hands off her ass. So, I mean, they're not, you know, like, they're not really shying away from what's happening. I mean, this was...
Wait, but Autolycus is Xena with her
Autolycus
hands
is
on her
Xena.
ass.
Oh,
yes?
yeah. Oh, yeah. This was not like, I mean, they didn't even if you were going to try to play it off as like, oh, it's just platonic close friends kissing, the way that they do a lot on this show, I mean, they actually kind of like kiss or almost kiss a number of times, but they're like, just so in case we're like not clear enough here, this is not like platonic friend kissing. This is like kissing and I'm grabbing your ass kissing. Like, we are together.
Ooh.
In a lesbian, very much sort of way, you know? Whether or not I was totally aware of myself at that point, like, it was hard to watch the show and not be aware of what they were doing. Yeah, like, they weren't subtle, you know? They were pretty heavy-handed with it. I cannot believe that there's anyone who could have watched the series and not understood that they were meant to be a couple that just couldn't be a couple explicitly.
And thank the Lord that couples can be couples explicitly on TV now.
Yes.
Obviously, we want more, but we've come a ways.
Oh my god, but can you imagine if they could remake Xena now?
Didn't they talk about a reboot?
Yeah.
Am I wrong about this?
Yeah. And I think the reboot failed because they still couldn't, they said they have to be gay, and the reboot got shut down because of it, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I think that is what happened. Which is frustrating to me because if you were going to do a reboot, everyone who wants to watch the reboot, most of them are lesbians. Like, you're not alienating your audience. Come on.
I don't think any person who doesn't think that Xena and Gabrielle were a couple really misses the show that much. I mean, straight people are not sitting around pining for Xena the way lesbians sit around pining for Xena. And specifically pining for a reboot with Lucy Lawless and Renee O'Connor. And if you ask me, Hudson Lake, because Callisto, hello.
So Callisto is what character?
She's kind of like evil Xena. Has a similar backstory to Xena, where her entire family was killed and her town or village was destroyed. And whereas, you know, Xena was evil for a while and then sort of reformed, Callisto just went crazy. Hardcore crazy.
So crazy hot.
Oh my god, is she crazy hot. I think you look at her, right, and her eyes, she's got, like, crazy eyes. Like, batshit eyes, where you're like, no, don't touch that. But also, she's so hot. She's so
the hot, crazy scale.
Hot. And so,
it's real.
I feel like Callisto, in that way of, like, I think middle school me, that was, like, my first experience with, like, being scare-roused, you know? Where you're like, I'm into this, but also terrified, and I don't know why.
I'm sorry, you just used the word scare-roused.
It's so true, though.
I love that, and I'm gonna use it.
I was scare-roused by Callisto.
Yeah. I think I get scare-roused a lot. We could dig deeper into that, but we won't right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you couldn't help it, you know? And she had, like, the crazy blonde hair and, like, everything. She always kind of had this, like, you know, smirk on her face, and you were like, I'm totally into this, but, like, you're insane.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Which, to be fair, you know, staying away from that is not lesbian strong suit, always.
Yeah.
I was young. I didn't know better, you know?
It's totally fine.
But yeah, so Hudson Lake should come back too. And I mean, everyone else is kind of, who cares? But as long as we get those three, I'm good with the reboot.
You're right. I'm gonna totally look up pictures after this.
Oh my god.
Because I need to see Callisto.
You should just look up pictures right now. Just do it.
All right, I'm doing it.
Okay.
In real time.
In real
Sorry,
time.
people.
No, it's fine. Look, there's typing so you can know it's for real. She's doing it now.
You can see my in real life reaction. Wow, I just like hot giggled. Oh my god, the crazy eyes.
Yeah, right? I'm gonna send you
real.
video clips after this. It's fine. I won't make you all listen to me sending Ellie video clips, but she's scary hot. Like,
yeah, there's this one where she has like a dagger in her hand and her eyes just look terrifying, but like, you're right, I'm scare-roused. I want to say one more thing before we sort of wrap this up. In my extensive Xena research, I found that Gabrielle reads a poem by Sappho to Xena.
yeah.
And anyone knows who Sappho is. She's like the queen of the Isle of Lesbos. She's like the queen of lesbians.
We worship.
Yeah. Love her.
Lesbians all do our annual making offerings to Sappho. It's fine. It's in the handbook, guys.
This is sort of weird, but when my college roommate, I kissed her mom on New Year's Eve. She has a hot mom, okay? And it was just a peck, whatever. But for the rest of my life, her mom calls me her Sappho.
I feel like one of these days we're gonna get more of that story out, because that's like a great just
Yeah, just
dropping
a little
this in
story.
with no context or explanation. Hello.
But let me also read the poem, because this is deep. To read this to another woman, like, you are in love with her. Come on.
Okay, I'm ready.
There's a moment when I look at you, and no speech is left in me. My tongue breaks, then fire races under my skin, and I tremble and grow pale, for I am dying of such love.
Yeah, that sounds like just friends to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Fire races under my skin. Come on, girl.
I think she means platonic friend fire.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So on that very platonic note, I think what we will say is Xena so clearly should have been gay. And I'm going to say Xena is, I think it really is. It is like the original lesbian fandom. I think precipitated a lot of, fandom culture that exists today.
And lesbian awakenings.
Finding each other through fandom, finding each other through shows, through, fan fiction, through whatever. I think Xena was kind of the original of a lot of that,
Yep.
So Xena Warrior Princess
Should have been gay.
should have been gay.
And just as a reminder for all of you listening, you can find us at Les Hangout Pod on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Or you can email us at leshangoutpod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys.
We've also just launched our Patreon. Patreon is a way for you, our fans, to help support us and for you to also get access to exclusive content that we're not sharing anywhere else. You'll get access to our Les Centrals original songs, live viewing parties of your favorite lesbian movies, Patreon-only Q&Gays, and you could even have the chance to come on an episode and answer our Q&Gay questions. So with that,
I'm Leigh.
and I'm Ellie.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast, and with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.